What's the most kind, beautiful thing you've overheard about yourself by accident? Not me, but my daughter. We used to live next door to a couple that was a triage foster family. When law enforcement had to remove kids from a home, theirs was on the short list of approved foster homes to place the kids in right away. My daughter was in elementary school at the time, and she would go out of her way to introduce herself to the kids and take time to play with them. Several groups of kids came and went before we moved to another state. Several months after we moved, we were in town visiting, and bumped into the mom of one of my daughter's classmates. This mom is a child psychologist, and she said, "I just wanted you to know I work a lot with the kids in foster care, and I kept hearing different kids talk about their friend. I looked at these kids' paperwork and saw they had been placed in a home next door to where you all lived. It dawned on me that they were talking about your daughter. Just so you know, she made a lot of difference in helping these kids recover from their trauma. Kiddo is a freshman in high school now, and still looks to help others." Once at college I was hanging out with a couple of friends in an art class, and right after I left I heard one turn to the other and say he is such a nice guy, and the other girl replied with an enthusiastic "I know, he really is." People complimenting you behind your back is, in my opinion, the best form of compliment. A few months ago, I was hanging out with a girl one day who was showing interest in me, and I was kinda on board myself. I accidentally saw that she had posted about me in her group chat, and it was something along the lines of "This is the kinda guy the first want." Even better, her friend, who also happened to be my coworker, responded to that by saying, "He's honestly so nice." This made me feel even better because I honestly thought that girl couldn't stand me. It gave me a giant boost of confidence. Several weeks ago I overheard the technician of the neighboring lab telling some fellow grad students she knows so much. I am astonished. I'm still hyped up about it. I'm a long-time drummer, been playing in bands for over 20 years. Recently just joined a new band, and after our first gig together, I overheard the singer talking with someone about the set and sound of the new lineup. The singer was saying that I'm a born drummer. This guy was totally meant to play drums. I'm so stoked he's in my band. Probably the coolest thing I accidentally overheard about myself. I teach middle school, and I try to intentionally say something positive about a student when they think I don't know they're nearby. The change in a kid's whole attitude is remarkable. Even kids who seem pretty self-confident get a boost, but the kids who are struggling, it really makes a huge difference. I worked in a call center for a while, and we weren't meant to hang up first. The system saw calls where we hung up as fishy and would need to be reviewed. So they messed up our stats, and one day after setting a lady up with a cheaper than subscription, she didn't hang up properly, and I heard her say that lady was really lovely. I had to go away from the calls for a minute cause it made me really emotional. That job was tough, so it was nice to see I wasn't becoming a My wife's family said I was the rock in their family. I was browsing my senior year yearbook years after I graduated. You know, reminiscing for a moment, I turned to the freshman section of the yearbook and I see writing on the side. It read, "Op, you don't know me, but thank you for being a role model for me. I see you at lunch sometimes. Name of student, I believe I am a good person, but have never thought that others could consider me a role model, as I'm still young, and with no kids of my own, let alone when I was 17 in high school." At a party I overheard my so bragging to the others about my pasta and my cooking in general, like they should be jealous he gets to eat my food regularly. It made me happy. I know he likes my cooking, but him telling others about it when I'm not in the room was a big confidence boost. Used to work in a call center up in Manchester. I have a very posh London voice which sticks out quite a lot up north. After a sale I take off my headset and hear one girl to another, "I really love his voice." Made me smile. I was visiting my old workplace after leaving a couple years prior. As I was walking away from an old employee, I overheard a new person ask who I was. She replied, "That's Gwami. He is the reason I was able to become a manager. I am an HR manager by trade." That almost made me cry on the spot. I've always hated my voice. One time I heard a coworker tell my boss I love S voice. He should work in radio. That felt pretty good. I'm a journalist. When I was working a news internship at a local TV station, I was asked to go do some quick man-on-the-street interviews on the other side of town. After we got back to the newsroom, I heard the camera guy, a veteran of like 30 years who's worked with some of the best reporters in my city, say to our executive producer, "You know, that kid's a real journalist." Gave me the biggest confidence boost ever as an intern. I'm now employed full-time at that news outlet as of 4 days ago. When I taught second grade, I caught girls passing a note in my class. I took the note from them and read it. Ms. X is pretty. Her hair is pretty. Her whole body is pretty. No, they didn't spell it right. I was like, please don't pass any more notes in class, but thank you, and I'm keeping this forever. My coworker and I got our jobs at this company at the same time, went through training together, got qualified for certain tasks together, and eventually both got management positions at the same time. He and I are good friends, I'd say, and we cooperate and work together seamlessly when needed, but our leadership methods are vastly different. After a lot of my own research, I found a foundation of positive reinforcement is equally if not more effective than an iron fist type leadership, so that's how I run my program for my crew. He's the exact opposite and is very open about trying to make his crew fear him. Both our methods get the job done, surely, but I try my best to make sure my crew doesn't dread coming to work. These guys and girls are the backbone of our operation and deserve respect. They're holding me up and making me look good with their accomplishments, so I take care of them as best I can and always give words of encouragement. So much so that I have this little joke where I call out someone's name across the hangar and just point at them like, "Good job bro," and they get the message and laugh. Good vibes. Anyway, our work schedules operate on a 3-month bidding rotation. Each mechanic will bid for which crew they want to be on, which alternates weeks. And those with the higher seniority in the company get the more desirable shifts. It boils down to choosing to be on my crew or my coworkers. Basically picking who your manager will be. Long story short, I heard people were fighting to get on my crew, and overheard numerous times that my crew was much more preferred to be on. Just made me feel good that my efforts aren't in vain. I feel bad for my counterpart, but at the same time, a guilty part of me is like, yes. I worked really hard on creating an art project for my first grade class. I heard one student say to the other, "This is the best project we've had all year." I was with 2 friends at a bar, one of whom I've known for half my life and one I met more recently. While I was at the bar ordering a drink, the newer friend said to the other, "You know, my name is such a great judge of character. I know that anyone who he calls a friend is someone I can always get along with." And then they spent like 5 minutes long line at the bar discussing all the things they like about me. Overheard a tough anesthesia provider comment to the room after she thought the door closed behind me that she wished she had a positive attitude and sense of humor like mine. Was so stunned I lurked behind the OR door and heard the room agree with her on how much they liked working with me because I made the day so much easier. My grumpy old fart of an ex-boss had to let me go because they ran out of orders. Then my last day, I overheard a colleague talking to him, saying, "You shouldn't let me go. He's a good worker." To which my boss replied, "I really don't want to let him go. I'm really fond of him, but I have no choice. He used to look so angry all the time and yelled at me one time, so I figured he didn't like me, although he was a grumpy old sod." This warmed my heart. My dad doesn't really compliment people. He's the quiet type that hides behind jokes and sarcasm. However, I once heard him talk to an old friend of his at a Christmas party, saying, "That's my kid right there. Pure rock and roll. Just like his old man. Never gives up. Just keeps steaming on like a freight train. I tell ya, some kids just have that fire, you know." Heard a girl compliment my looks to her friends in my second language. She never figured out I could understand what she was saying. I wouldn't even consider myself attractive, so it was nice, I guess. Was at a party with classmates. Decided to stay the night and overheard some girls talking about me being handsome while they thought I was asleep. I wasn't. I was joking around with some acquaintances at a party and somebody got me with a really funny joke. I started giggling like a madman and I heard a girl on the other end of the room turn to my sister and say, "I just love his laugh. It's so happy." And she responded, "I know. That still makes me smile when I remember." I was hospitalized for 6 months after a attempt as a teenager. I had to go to school in the hospital. I love languages, and every week a French teacher would come in and give me French lessons. She gave me an essay to write for homework, and I wrote about my illness. I overheard her telling my nurse that it was a joy to correct my work. It might not seem like much, but to a 17-year-old girl who felt totally worthless, it meant the whole world. I wish I could tell that teacher that I'm almost finished my degree in modern languages now.